The Pac-12 Media Day is 1 week away, and that means the USC offseason is almost over.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free. I cannot express to you how much I appreciate your support. You can show your appreciation by becoming a subscriber if you're watching on YouTube. It's easy. Just hit that red subscribe button. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button because that like button means a lot to the show. And I don't want you to miss an episode, so hit that bell notification button, and that way you don't miss one of the 5 episodes, 5 times a week. I'm heading back to Sin City, Vegas, baby. For the first time in Pac-12 Conference history, Pac-12 Media Day will be in Las Vegas. And I guess, keeping the event in LA when both USC and UCLA are leaving Los Angeles, those are obviously terrible optics for Commissioner George Kliavkoff. I mean, he has to host and answer questions for Pac-12 Media Day. It's coming up in a week, and he doesn't even have a Media Day deal to roll out. And this is when everybody's getting together. I think everybody anticipated, hey, we're going to find out what's going on at Pac-12 Media Day. Surprise, you're not. So there's not going to be any surprises on this show. You can see what's happening on the rundown. We're talking about Pac-12 Media Day here in the first segment. Second part of the show, we're going to talk about Caleb Williams and who he compares to as far as NFL quarterbacks. And then my Friday rant, as you can see, black jerseys will be the topic. The topic of this segment, though, Pac-12 Media Day, 1 week away. If you're watching this episode of Locked On USC, first thing Friday morning, as you should be, or if you're listening to it, as you should be, again, 1 week away, 1 week from today, Pac-12 Media Day. So while George isn't going to be able to talk about the new media deal that isn't in place yet, he can at least talk about how exciting the Pac-12 future will be. That's going to be a tall task for that gentleman. I almost feel sorry for him. While he's doing his best to spin, I guess is the best way of putting it, Caleb Williams is going to be able to talk about his new ESPY award that he just won, as well as his Heisman. And he and Lincoln Riley will also get to, they're actually returning to the scene of the crime, where not a crime, where they kind of gambled and lost. I guess maybe that's the best way of describing since we're going back to Vegas. Remember, I know it's a painful memory, but USC was literally up 17-3, and then they were kind of faced with playing the Caleb Williams card when he was less than 100%. Pulled that hamstring. And they gambled when, Riley decided to stay with the hand that he was dealt instead of drawing into his deck and trying that Miller Moss card. Again, USC was up 17-3. Utah's defense showed no signs of stopping the offense with a healthy quarterback running the show. So Caleb folded, theoretically, with a hamstring. And then the defense literally folded as the game went on, and Utah ended up winning the pot, taking the conference championship. Last year's Media Day, it was newcomer Shane Lee that got to tag along with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams when it was held in Los Angeles. A year later, and this is with the defense under the microscope. Remember, nobody kind of knew what to expect, what to anticipate, I caught myself, from USC in year one with Lincoln Riley. They knew they were going to be better than 4-8. I don't think anybody forecasted. Nobody's bingo card showed USC making it to the conference championship game with 11 wins and being, that close to the playoffs. Again, the defense is going to be under the microscope because most people kind of put most of the blame on the defense not getting the job done last season to help USC get to the playoffs. We know that's not the case. You win as a team, you lose as a team. Again, so instead of Shane Lee, Riley invited Mason Cobb to join Caleb Williams and himself in Las Vegas. Mason wasn't on the roster last year. So, one perspective is maybe he can offer or shed some light, from his perspective on why the linebacker position maybe struggled with the defense last year. But again, for me, is it fair to ask Mason to answer for last year's USC defense? He wasn't a part of it. Riley could have just as easily invited Kalen Bullock, Eric Gentry, or Bryson Shaw. A lot of players he could have chosen from the defensive side of the ball. As far as those three players I just named, Kalen Bullock is an All-American candidate. Eric Gentry, I think, would have been the perfect person to bring along. He has a great anecdote to reflect back on, when USC lost at Utah. You would have to imagine that would be brought up. And then, the reason I injected Bryson Shaw's name into the mix, because he doesn't make excuses. He's a straight shooter. With him, it's all about accountability. I don't think you're going to get any contrived answers. Yeah, he just talks straight from the cuff, kind of like me. I like Bryson Shaw, and I'm really anticipating him taking that final step this season. If there's anybody more familiar with Alex Grinch's defensive scheme philosophy, you're not going to find anybody more familiar with it than Bryson. Remember, he was at Ohio State when Grinch was there. So, for me, at least, those would be the three defensive players who were around last year, and who I think could probably more adequately answer the question, will the USC defense be better in 2023? Here's how, and I haven't seen if there's been any other network media preseason polls. I'm sure there are. I didn't go do an in-depth research on this, but 24/7 they released theirs, and it has 1 through 12: USC, Washington, Utah, Oregon at 4, Oregon State at 5, UCLA at 6. Washington State coming in at number 7, Arizona number 8, Cal number 9. Arizona State is the 10th team in the preseason poll. And then pulling up the rear. Look, I've said that both of these teams are going to struggle this year, but apparently, according to the media people at 24/7, Colorado will finish ahead of Stanford. And then when everything's all said and done with the conference championship game, they're picking USC to get over that hump, to plant that flag back at the top of the hill where USC belongs. As far as Pac-12 Media Day, USC will be the first team of representatives up on the dais once George Kliavkoff and Merton Hanks and the whole Pac-12 powers that be are done answering questions. So the event starts at 8 a.m. USC, Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, and Mason Cobb, they start at 9:20. Lincoln Riley's at 9:20, and approximately 25 minutes later, the two players, Caleb Williams and Mason Cobb, will be able to start taking questions from the media. And then the Pac-12 Media Day will close out with UCLA. So, yeah, they got to sit around all day long in Vegas waiting for their turn. That by the end of the day, I've been to enough Pac-12 Media Days throughout the years, you just want to leave. You're done. So we'll see how much enthusiasm is left for the Bruins. Hey, you know what's new? I've got a new championship sponsor for Locked On USC. For every championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. Guess what? It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit, and it needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head on over to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit on your or money back guarantee. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors, you're going to have the confidence to shop. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. So, pardon me. According to Daniel Jeremiah, who is an NFL draft analyst, Caleb Williams is reportedly thought to be, and I'm using finger quotes, more like Josh Allen, Buffalo's quarterback, than Patrick Mahomes, who Caleb Williams is frequently compared to. Except for the facts that Daniel forgets. Josh Allen is probably about 5 or 6 inches taller than Caleb, and he's definitely at least 40 pounds heavier. So other than that, I think Daniel Jeremiah hit the nail on its head. I'm being a little sarcastic. And I actually kind of see where he's coming from here. It's just, I think it caught people by surprise because of the size difference between the two players. Because Jeremiah also said he believes Williams has the upside to be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. Jeez. I don't need the obvious explained to me. Just the merely obvious. Look, wasn't it, we all saw the movie Die Hard. John McClane said, welcome to the party, pal. That comment from Jeremiah probably, like I said, wasn't necessary. And if everybody's wondering in the back of their head, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes. Look, I get it. USC was playing Notre Dame in the background of the movie. USC plays Notre Dame in November. But, you know, that transition period from Thanksgiving to Christmas, that countdown is kind of a whole gray area. So, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Back to Daniel Jeremiah's words of wisdom regarding Caleb. And again, I think it was him just passing on what he's heard from other NFL talent evaluators, GMs, scouts. Because he said many NFL scouts reportedly believe Williams could be a top 10 quarterback by the end of his rookie season. Now, this is actually, I think, a really fair debate. Who are the top 10 quarterbacks in the league in 2023, right now? Well, let's use CBS Sports. Here's their list of quarterbacks, and I'm going to go from number 10 to number 1. At number 10, they have Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings, Dak Prescott, Cowboys, number 8, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore, number 7, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville, number 6, Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets, number 5, Justin Herbert, San Diego Chargers, just kidding, LA Chargers, and then here are the top 4. Josh Allen, Buffalo, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia, Joe Burrows, Cincinnati, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City. So that's an interesting top 10 list. Top 3, Jalen Hurts, Number 2, Joe Burrows. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen, number 4. I'm going to throw out what I think is a realistic question to ask. Do you think the Vikings, Minnesota, or the Cowboys, do you think they would swap out both of their starting quarterbacks for Caleb Williams right now? Interesting question, huh? Let's take it a step further. Let's step up that ladder even further. I'm going to jump over Trevor Lawrence because he's still, what is it going to? Third season? He's going to keep getting better. I haven't seen him regress so far. He seems to be getting better. So let's just leave Trevor Lawrence where he's at, number 7. However, would the New York Jets swap Caleb Williams for Aaron Rodgers right now? Remember, Aaron's he's in the twilight of his career. Or, would the Jets say, no. We're going to try and win it this year or in the next 2 years at least. We've tried that play the rookie quarterback. We've taken that page out of our playbook and we've thrown it away. Just again, for me, if I'm a GM and I have the chance, that's one that I would have to sleep on. And look, going back to the comparison to Josh Allen, I sort of get that comparison. Both of them, they have really big arms. They can throw the ball a mile. And I think if we're being honest, Josh Allen is probably more apt to take off and run the ball than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick just likes to keep the play alive with his feet. You can see the similarities between Caleb and Patrick in the pocket. They've got those black magic feet that Travis Dye called him last year, referring to Caleb Williams. They just have the ability to keep the play alive. But Josh Allen, he doesn't have that same ability just to keep moving around in the pocket and keep guys missing. He's bigger, stronger. So when he makes the decision, you know what, I'm not throwing it, I'm taking off and running it, that's where you see the similarities between Caleb Williams and Josh Allen. Because they're both powerful runners. So I see that comparison. But for me, that's where the similarities end. Completely. Just they're two big arms, and they both know how to run with the ball when it's time. So I guess the question is, who is Caleb going to be compared to? Who should he be compared to? Or maybe we can just stop with the comparisons and recognize that Caleb Williams is a generational type of talent. And once he goes to the NFL following the season, which everyone assumes he will be, the quarterbacks coming up now will start being compared to him, to Caleb Williams. So we'll find out. Who do you think Caleb compares most to? Again, this is fun for the fans to talk about. Again, we got 1 week left of the offseason, and then we can all just focus on USC and fall camp, which is going to start sometime between July 25th, 26th, 27th, somewhere in that date. I believe that's when Lincoln and Riley said they were going to jump into it. So we know first game, San Jose State, August 26th. Folks, one more week of the offseason. Go right into Pac-12 Media Day. Then we get to start comparing this USC team and their chance to win the Pac-12 championship, get to the playoffs. So we're here, Friday, end of the show, almost at the end of the show. That means it's time for my Friday rant. And this rant it's all about the black jersey debate. No, there is no debate. Just stop asking this question already. Every year, USC fans like to float this idea, throw out their suggestions regarding their favorite football team. And every year, for some reason, there are a handful of Trojan fans who want to see their favorite team dressed in black. Look, this is what happens when the fans start to get restless, trying to kill time. But these are the same fans who probably wouldn't mind hearing. These are probably the same fans who would boo their own team if they're not performing well on the field. I'm not a big fan of booing your own team. And I'm definitely not a fan of hearing USC getting booed coming out of the tunnel because they look like Florida State. Because that's what would happen. There would be a large swath of fans who would voice their displeasure seeing their team come out in black. For the gazillionth time, the Trojans have two primary colors, cardinal and gold. Say it with me. Cardinal and gold. And then when they play on the road, they swap out those cardinal jerseys, they throw on the white ones, but you still see the cardinal numbers with the gold trim and the gold pants. Okay? Those are their colors. So listen closely. One more time. At least until the same question gets asked next year. USC does not need an alternate uniform combination to market itself. Nor does USC need the novelty idea of a third uniform to secure a recruit's commitment. If wearing a black uniform is the top priority for a football player, for a recruit, then go to Oregon. Because up there, you'll never have to wear the same uniform twice. You'll also never win a national championship. So, hey, what floats your boat? What's a bigger priority? Winning or looking good? In your eyes. Look, alternate uniform combinations do one thing, and they do one thing only. Okay, I'm going to give you two things they do. They give a group of fans something to get really excited about for like the first 5 minutes of the game. You know what ultimately comes out of the alternate uniform? The fans. Again, it's for the fans. They buy them. The schools make more money. That's it. Let me give you here. Let's make this scenario real. Let's say USC. I'm going to play along. Let's say USC pulled a Notre Dame, and instead of putting on the green jerseys, they threw on the black uniform instead. Okay? Ooh, they're going to intimidate the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, make them cower. You think that's going to really affect how Notre Dame approaches the game? Of course not. If anything, it might fire them up a little bit more. Because you know what would be worse than losing to the Irish wearing your traditional colors? I'll tell you what would be worse. Losing to the Irish in black jerseys. But hey, I bet they looked super cool when they ran out of the tunnel. Huh. Was it worth it? Did you get your money's worth? How do you feel now? Hey, they wore black jerseys, but they lost. I'll tell you what, those black uniforms or whatever, they'd probably be as cool as those shiny metallic helmets that USC rolled out, 5, 7, 8 years ago, however long ago it was. No, not. The team, when they were on the field and the lights were shining in them, they looked like a bunch of Christmas ornaments out there. Literally. It looked funky. It didn't look right. So just know, enough. Keep USC's tradition front and center. No FBS football games. No black jerseys. Just win, baby. Put on the cardinal gold. Wear with pride. And know that you don't need to do anything different to get attention. Schools like USC and Alabama, they don't need to do that stuff. They know who they are. Programs that don't know who they are, like the Oregons of the world, they have to do that for identity purposes. It's their brand. USC has a brand. You know, it's 11 national championships, 8 Heisman Trophy winners. Yeah, that's the brand. Cardinal and gold, that's their brand. The victory salute, that's their brand. Okay, that's my rant. I'm done. Look, for anybody who wants the black jersey, don't take this personally. This is just something I'm really passionate about. And I get it's probably a generational thing. But here are my points and what I said. Just don't go, no. We want black jerseys. Because give me the argument why. Other than, ooh, we'll look cool. And because so-and-so's doing it. Yeah. That doesn't work. All right, I'm going to be back with another 5 episodes of Locked on USC next week. Probably jumpstart the week with some recruiting information. Something will happen, I'm sure. But until then, everyone, have a great weekend. Look forward to Pac-12 Media Day next Friday, because then we are literally 1 week closer to fall camp starting. So, until that next episode of Locked on USC, everyone, you know what to do.